It's a work in progress, and that's the saving grace. If it happens all of a sudden, then people will think you are a ghost. That you have just para-dropped from somewhere. They'll hand you over to the United Nations police. You are not only an alien, you are an alien from beyond the exosphere of this planet. So it's great that the change happens gradually.
But then the frustration of the other person when it's a work in progress.
The other person too is on his or her own journey. Your journey helps the other person. It's not as if you keep changing and the other will stay stagnant. And don't worry too much about the other. We never know really what is good for the other. Sometimes a breakdown of the relationship is the best thing that can happen to the other. So we are really not seers of that capacity. Sometimes getting hurt is the best thing that can happen to someone. Sometimes a negation or collapse of expectations is needed. Do the right thing and forget the consequences. If the thing is right, then the consequences cannot be wrong. They may appear to be wrong for a period of time, but they cannot really be wrong. So forget the consequences. Do the right thing. My God, that's terrible. Isn't it good morality to not to hurt the other? Of course it is. You should not hurt the other. जिंदगी दर्द भरा नगमा है. जिंदगी झटका और सदमा है. I was waiting for that. But is that not against all humanness to not to get hurt? Does that not mean that we don't have a beating heart anymore? Doesn't that mean that we are passionless and insensitive? Oh my God. What is sensitivity? To cry when a fly sits on your forehead? If getting hurt is an indicator of sensitivity, then why not be hypersensitive and get hurt at practically nothing?
Getting numb. What?
It is knowing that you are not obliged to react at everything. It is knowing that you are not so dumb that anybody can extract a reaction out of you. It is knowing that life is precious and cannot be wasted away reacting to everything that comes as a stimulus to you. You forgot my birthday. and now I'll weep an ocean. We live in all this, don't we? We face all this. And we call all of this humanness or sensitivity. It is not sensitivity. I've repeated this so many times. Sensitivity and sentimentality are opposites in different dimensions. What you call as sensitivity is just conditioned sentimentality. You are conditioned to be sentimental, and you call that as sensitivity. I'm done with this. Can't bear it anymore. He has no respect for my sentiments. Just now, he abused my tears. Little bit of tear gas, and you will be so deep in tears. There's really no difference when you weep because of tear gas and when you weep because of your mental waves or hormones. It's just the same. It appears different. Tear gas appears an external agent, and your feelings and emotions appear internal, but they both are just the same. Material things. Inside also you have some electrical impulses going from here to there, some chemicals rising from somewhere, some gland secreting some extra hormone, and you start weeping. It's all chemical, nothing else. It's chemical, external, and not really determined by you. Can't bear this. ये आंसुओं का मजबूत जोड़ है, टूटेगा नहीं. You know what is the difference between sentimentality and sensitivity? The people who are watching the Christ being crucified were all common householders of Jerusalem, were they not? Surely a lot of them would have been sentimental people. Men who would have cried in the name of honor and religion and valor. Women who would have cried for love and husbands and babies. And they were all right with crucifying the Christ. None of them had any sensitivity. Most of them, many of them, would have had ample sentimentality. But none of them had any sensitivity. To save a Christ, you require sensitivity. In fact, if you are sentimental, you are very violent. The more sentimental you are, the easier will it be for you to participate in the crucifixion of a Christ. Not only will you participate, you may even be an active promoter. What do you think? The people who were cheering the Christ's torture were all criminals? Were they criminals? Who were they? They were the common householders of the city. And all common householders are just like the common householders. Loving their parents, loving their husbands and wives, fond of their kids. And they were all spectators when Christ was being killed. Sentimentality is very, very violent. Very violent. Sentimental mothers, sentimental husbands, sentimental wives, I caution you, be very, very alert. Where there is sentiment, there is bound to be falseness and violence. Sensitivity is a different quality altogether. Very different quality. To be sensitive is to really know the essence of things. That is called being sensitive. To be sensitive means being alive to the reality of things. That is sensitivity. We respect sentimentality. We have no respect for sensitivity. If someone starts weeping in front of us, we melt, don't we? We are prepared to give people the credit of being emotional. If you have 1,000 rupees to spare, and you have to give it to someone, and you have two choices. One, give it to a struggling scientist. A scientist who has been trying really hard on his own, working in his dilapidated lab. And he has given up on his body, on society, on personal dreams, aspirations. He is totally committed to knowing the truth of the material, the fact of material. And he has no money. He is barely surviving. That is option one. And the option two is to give it to a poor pregnant woman. We very well know where those $1,000 would land. Would you give? Would you donate to a struggling scientist or to a pregnant woman? Now you know the difference between sentimentality and sensitivity. We are violent people. You would let the scientist be defeated. You may even let him be killed. But you have great respect for pregnancy and babies. You will immediately say, look at her. Help her. That is why when beggars come to you, they demonstrate babies to you. Imagine a beggar coming to you and demonstrating some scientific instrument to you and asking for money. Sir, I am doing this great new experiment. Look at my apparatus, it is in shambles. If you can contribute some money, I will succeed. And on the other window is knocking a woman with an emaciated baby. You very well know where your $100 would go to. It is another matter that the baby is often kept emaciated on purpose. You'd have read those stories, right? Babies being kept on opium so that they are asleep. We know sentiments, and that is why we live and die by sentiments and are fooled by sentiments. Sensitivity we don't know. There was one particular woman, and she had put an application on a website which is meant to publicize your cause and get donations. Which website is that, Kundan? Anushka, you know that website, right? On which you put your cause to get donations. No, they had, huh? So there is that website, and they looked at that website and found that the woman had put it up there that she wants to travel somewhere to meet a particular spiritual person, and she wanted to attract, I don't know how much, $1,000 or something for that? $1,000 for that. And within a few days, she had raised those $1,000. It appears such a nice cause to help a pious woman meet some kind of saint, especially if the saint is famous, world-renowned. And then, somehow, we have managed to put together our resources and come up with a bodhsthal at Greater Noida. We are doing it all on our own. All that we gather from the bookstalls, all that comes from the camps and the courses, and more is going into the construction of that place. So just experimentally, I asked Anushka to put our cause also on the same website. I said, let's see whether it attracts anything. How much did it attract? I don't know. What are the latest figures? Anything more than 0? 0. And we are sensitive people. We are very, very sensitive people. Oh, a lonely woman wants to travel to another continent to meet a world famous guru. Obviously, our hearts melt. Our pockets start oozing out dollars. And here we are constructing a center of pilgrimage where not one, but 1 million people can come. And nobody bats an eyelid. And you are talking of humanness and compassion and numbness and sensitivity. Sentimentality is foolishness. And to be sensitive, you require some wisdom, some discretion. Not just a hurt look in the eyes. Not just a mind paralyzed by excessive emotionality. Where is intelligence? Where is wisdom? Where is discretion? All that is the subject of sensitivity. Do you see the difference?
But sir, in this case, won't like the genuineness factor also factor in? Like it's easier to trust one person than an institute because, I mean, the goals are really defined and they probably do it.
One can go ahead and find out. And how do you trust that woman? Do you know her? Do you know her? Don't you see what sentimentality does? It simply does not permit you to find out. It does not permit you to find out because it does not act in discretion and intelligence. It works on stereotypes. It works on patterns. It works on conditioning. And that is why it is very, very violent. Whatsoever is false is bound to be violent. Christ is a young and strong man. Had it been a dying man, an old man, a crumbling and diseased man, then the people of Jerusalem would have forgiven him. Because then their sentiments arise. Oh, how can we hit a 90-year-old? This 90-year-old is so respectable and he is anyway about to die. But Jesus is only 32 and he is strong and handsome. One feels like hurting him. How dare he be so wise and handsome? How dare he talk so fearlessly? That is sentimentality. It is very, very violent. I really tell you, had Jesus been 90 years of age, he would not have been crucified. We respect elders, don't we? Only a young one can be killed like Jesus was. And not only a young one, a very strong one, a very handsome one. If someone is very ugly, then we become sentimental. Oh, have some pity. He is anyway a pig. The kid is thin, so the mother serves her freshly minced lamb. The kid is thin, so the mother serves her freshly minced lamb. And what is the lamb? Is the lamb not a kid? But the mother has no compunctions. This is sentimentality. Violent, very, very violent. One is sentimental about his limited circle, is he not? Do even the most sentimental of people start weeping because Boko Haram is assaulting a few schoolgirls there in Africa? Do you weep then? Don't you see that sentimentality is all about preserving your own personal self-interest? Hundreds of little schoolgirls. And bigots and fools. They took them away, raped some, killed some, forcibly married some. Who cared? Did anyone go crazy with sentiments? Did that happen? That is what sentimentality is. Narrow self-interest. Next time you see someone very emotional about something, see how his or her ego is linked to that, and see how violent is the whole thing. When we were traveling to this place, between Muradabad and Kashipur, the road was extremely bad. In fact, there was no road, there was just a succession of potholes. Do you know where those potholes come from? They come because the government employees are sentimental fathers and mothers. So they must pinch money from the government funds earmarked for those roads for their kids. You see, how does it matter if there are 10 extra holes in the road? I was so fond of my daughter. Now, by cheating some money from the road, I have been able to get her admitted to a medical college. She will be a doctor now. It is not without reason that we were made to suffer that road. That road is there because we have sentimental fathers and mothers as government employees. And somebody was quite emotional about seeing his wife decked in good jewelry. So money was robbed from that road so that the man and his pretty wife can travel to Dubai and purchase some jewelry. That is what sentiment does. It is terribly self-centered. My Guddu will now be proceeding to pursue his engineering from Canada, from London. And where did the money come from? The money came from that road. It is another matter that 45 bikers have lost their lives due to those potholes. My Guddu will now be a B.Tech from Canada. How does it matter if 45 lives were lost? I am such an emotional father. And not only am I an emotional father who has just consumed 45 lives, I will also keep reminding Guddu what a great father I am. See, Guddu, I did this all for you. I love you so much. And because I love you so much, you must now pay me back. Take care of me when I am old. Marry as per my wishes. And if nothing else, announce to the whole world that it is because of me that you are shining today. Or even if you don't announce, I take it upon myself to announce to the whole world. See, what a wonderful father I am to beget such a wonderful child. My Guddu is an engineer from Canada. Obviously, everybody forgets then that Guddu had to go to Canada because he could not get admission in any of the Indian colleges. Was simply not good enough to clear any of the entrance exams. But all of that is forgotten. The 45 deaths on the road are forgotten. What is remembered is that Guddu's father was very sentimental. He did all kinds of corrupt acts so that Guddu could become an engineer. No, it is not as if all 45 deaths went towards just the engineering degree. The engineering degree required only 25 deaths. The remaining 20 went towards the dowry of Guddu's sister. You see, he is a sentimental father. Being so sentimental, he has great dreams about the wedding of his only daughter. Sentimental, fathers are sentimental about their daughters. So they must have great and lavish weddings. So 20 deaths have gone towards the wedding. But the wedding was fabulous. 20 days of rehearsal, 20 days of professional rehearsals from a professional trainer went towards the ladies' dance in the Sangeet. The wedding was wonderful. That is sentimentality. And when Goody was finally departing for her honeymoon, Goody's mother and father wept as if there is no tomorrow. Both lost 8 kilograms weight each. They wept so much. They had to be put on saline. Lost all their salt through tears. That is sentimentality. And Goody is already wet. Only half of that wetness is attributed to the tears of her parents. The remaining half is because she is proceeding for her honeymoon. That is sentimentality. But if you expose all these things, then you are hard-hearted and cruel. It's the daughter's vidai. The mother is going crazy with sadness. And you are casting aspersions on such a holy occasion. Please don't do that. Please don't insult our sacred emotions. You don't see that it is these emotions that are the cause of your very bondage. In the morning you are asking what keeps you going to the office. Nothing but this. Tears. Somebody will weep if I quit my well-adjusted life. Mama will feel bad. What will I tell Papa?